One of whom would just like to say a few words, I think. Is that right?
Yes, hello, good evening. Yeah, just a quick question really. Has the Parish Council any preference as to the model of affordable housing? Does it want rental, joint ownership or some other combination or provision?
We haven't even considered it.
Have you got a plan basically?
We haven't even considered it at this stage.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Right. I think it's near enough 7:30 by my watch, and that's just about 7:30, so we'll make a start later. Okay. No apologies for absence?
Nope.
Any declarations of pecuniary interest or personal or prejudicial interest? Bob, I guess.
Yeah, normal predetermination and planning. And can I guess it's personal on the payment of the invoice for the parish hall.
Yours on your payments, your payment?
Yeah,
I've got you down.
Okay, thank you.
Owen put the deliberate error on the agenda to make sure people read it.
No, nobody discovered it.
And nobody discovered it, which fine. So the minutes are of the last of the 7th of November meeting, as opposed to the 5th and 19th of October.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So has anybody got any amendments to the minutes that were circulated?
Obviously we had amendments made after the last minutes, which were corrected for those who read the minutes the last time.
No. Good. Motion sign them.
No, nothing better.
Don't spoil your Christmas.
What?
Humbug.
No. Do you want this one?
That's it. You've done the minute book.
Right, we'll go on to item 4 on the agenda, and we welcome back Duncan and Esther to give us a report back on their latest findings for our consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, members. Obviously, we last came to speak to you in September, according to our records anyway, where we fed back from the consultation event. I think tonight all we really wanted to do was to give you an update in terms of what's come out of the housing needs assessment that we've carried out. And members will remember that we recommended that we would refresh your housing needs assessment because it was getting to the end of its useful shelf life. A housing needs survey is a snapshot in time, and it will change over time, but we felt it was appropriate because it was getting on for 3 years, and we felt it was right and proper that 1, 3 years is a long time. 2, we held a consultation event, and there have been other consultation events where clearly people have come out of the woodwork and said, I perhaps need some help with my housing or whatever. So we'll briefly talk about the housing needs survey, and it is currently in draft, but it will eventually be put on our website. But we felt it was right and proper to report back to members first before we made it a live document. And secondly, really, to give you an update in terms of what's been going on in terms of dialogue, discussions around potential land parcels on which affordable housing possibly could be provided. And of course we do need to keep using the word possibly, and obviously I don't think we're remotely close to a planning application going in or anything like that, so I think we do need to remember that. So in terms of the housing needs survey, hopefully you will have all got a copy. As I say, it will go on our website, and it will be freely available to Joe Public and everybody else to see. I'm not going to go through it in any great detail unless members particularly wanted to, but hopefully it's a sort of a 19-page document. It gives you lots of useful information and background to Brent Knoll, what the problems are in terms of the high price of housing, the lack of choice in terms of you know, the sort of fairly low levels of affordable housing, the lack of choice within the private rented sector. I guess the bit that would be of most interest to members will be what the recommendations are telling you. So, and I apologise the pages aren't numbered, but if you go to the page which has got these nice green charts on, what we've found is that when we previously reported to you back in 2013, the previous housing needs survey was suggesting a need for 8 units of affordable housing. What we found in the 2016 survey is we've calculated the level of need to be slightly higher at 14, which isn't unexpected, quite frankly, because we've kind of raised people's awareness in terms of what affordable housing has been all about over the last couple of years, and it's been a fairly regular topic in the village. And I make no bones about it, the community events, both the one that you guys sponsored and we ran for you, but also the one associated with the A38 development, has raised a lot of people's awareness about housing in the village and the parish. So we're not totally unsurprised that level of need's gone up, because people in the past may not have bothered responding and what have you. So in terms of breakdown, it was interesting, good you raised the question of do you as a parish council have a view in terms of tenure split, affordable housing tenure split. So we're saying the needs now standing at 14, 11 of those we're recommending for rented accommodation, with a further 3 for some form of what we're calling home ownership, affordable home ownership product. Now on the big table at the bottom of the second page that we're referring to, there were a couple of people that we've recommended for rented accommodation, right down the bottom there, that with their incomes possibly could afford some form of shared ownership product, but because they don't have a deposit and they're necessarily financed to go to the bank and get a mortgage, you know, we're saying that they simply wouldn't be able to get off the starting blocks. Now that's not to say, if and when you were to start building homes, that those circumstances may change, or they may get the money from a relative, their financial circumstances might be radically different. We won't know that until nearer the time. So as it stands today, we're saying the need's 14, the overwhelming demand is for rented accommodation, which is kind of common in most villages. And you've got a fairly broad range of unit types that are being recommended, ranging from sort of 1-bedroom units, which would generally be for people, single people or couples, right the way up to, which we found quite surprising, 3-4-bedroom units. But interesting, not many 3-beds at all. So, which is most unusual. So, I'll leave members to read that at your leisure. There's a lot of information in there, and the only thing we would say is that it is only a snapshot in time, and if we ran the survey again in 6 months' time, I suspect the figure and the recommendation might be slightly different. So we just need to put it into context. Just flicking over the next page, and there is a bit of a typo, so I'm glad Owen had a bit of a typo as well. I don't know if it's a bad message or if it's a bad now. When it says possible range and scale of affordable housing, the second line refers to a figure of 50. Please don't have a heart attack over it. We actually mean it's 18. It's a typo on our part. And what we're saying is the housing needs survey threw up a need for 14. There are 4 people who are on our waiting list, choice-based letting system, who for whatever reason, despite Esther hassling them to respond to the survey, failed to respond to the survey. Now we're not saying the level is 18, we're simply saying it could be 18. We're firmly saying it's 14, but so there were 4 people who were on the waiting list saying, I want to live in Brent Knoll, but failed for whatever reason. That's not uncommon, because people often confuse the waiting list application form with a housing needs survey form. But I don't think we should get too hung up about it. We're certainly not saying to you tonight, we think you should be building 14 affordable housing units. You may have a view on that. You may take the view to say, perhaps we should be building more, but that's something you need to decide as members, I guess. So that's your housing needs survey. As and when you have a chance to read of it, by all means come back to Esther and I. We're happy to answer questions, and we go forward from there.
Just ask a quick question.
Absolutely.
Please, through you, Mr. Chairman, please. From what you've said, in alluding to our
colleague's question right at the start, it seems that all these affordable houses will be rental only. There will be no shared ownership or condominium because you're
No.
saying rental.
No, we're not suggesting that at all.
Okay.
What we're saying is, based on the information provided by these people, then of the 14 that we've assessed as being in housing need, 11 realistically should only be considered for rented accommodation, and there's a further 3 who could take a shared ownership, home ownership product.
Okay.
But there are a further 2 who could, on their income, in theory, go into shared ownership, but because they don't have deposits and so on and such like, we said, look, they're not going to get a mortgage in the first case, so therefore their default position is rent. So ultimately, it's from, at some point, if a project were to go forward, we would be saying to you as members, how would you like your affordable housing split up in terms of tenure? Now you may take the choice, you may say, if it's 6 or 7, we might do 3 shared ownership, 4 rented. The choice is yours.
Okay. So it is a decision then that we can make.
Absolutely,
ourselves. Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you.
And, you know, I think that's right and proper.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, the other bit of paper that Owen would have circulated with the thing is a short briefing note. And again, the reason why we produce these briefing notes is, one, I think it's useful for you as members to have something in writing to refer to, because half the time I'm conscious that we're just talking, and sometimes you guys are very busy in taking a lot of information. And secondly, you know, in the spirit of transparency and openness, we are putting these on our website so that your wider community can actually get to see what you're being presented with, and you know, and so everybody that has an interest in what you're doing in terms of affordable housing can see exactly the information that you're being presented with, whether or not they come to the parish council meeting. I think it's a useful source. It just means that we're telling the same story to everybody, and we're doing that increasingly with a lot of parishes that we're working with. So, if you're just looking at the briefing note, obviously we talked about the housing needs survey. So we talked about, we put the old table in, which was 8, we put in the new table. It's not broken down by tenure, it's simply saying this is the high level figure. If we flick on to the next page, we've just reminded, we're starting to talk about what we've been doing in terms of looking for sites. And just to remind members, we've been looking for a site in Brent Knoll for quite a while now, and we've adopted a sequential test to that search. The sequential test is broadly, were there any sites within your development boundary, or as it will be called in the future, your settlement boundary? And I think the opinion was, the answer was no, and then we turned our attention to looking at possible sites outside your development boundary, albeit adjacent or fairly well related to your development boundary. And obviously, you know, the site that we took to public consultation back earlier this year was the land at Station Road, and obviously we've reported the sort of the headline summaries from the consultation event, and we're not going to go over that again this evening. Obviously, the proposal when we went to consultation was that it was possibly 18 units of accommodation, of which 40% would be affordable, and we'd be using a planning policy which would mean the market housing would effectively be subsidising the affordable in the absence of public grant. I think one of the key messages from the consultation event, and I think members have echoed this as well, was very much around 18 felt a little bit too many, and it felt a bit urban in density. We've gone back and spoken to the landowner, we've gone back and spoken to the potential contractor, and we're currently looking at a development of 15, so we've reduced that with a view to getting more green space, more rural development. It is work in progress, and that's the reason why we haven't brought an indicative layout this evening with us, because we haven't bottomed it out quite yet at the moment. But the message is we've taken on board the comment about fewer houses, it's got to feel more like a village scheme rather than an urban scheme. And I think, you know, we are trying to address that. I suppose the challenge now really is, you know, if we can get the layout right, so we put a proposed, what it might look like, halfway down the page, where it says site option update. and I think it's halfway down. It says the revised is 15-unit proposal would see 3 4-beds, 3 3-beds, 5 2-beds, 2 2-bedroom flats and 2 1-bedroom flats. That's kind of taken from the fact that we now I know have some potential requirements for smaller units, particularly in the affordable housing requirement. But it is work in progress. As and when we've got a more refined layout, we'll be obviously bouncing it into you guys for a view to say, well, what do you think? Ultimately, we don't want to do anything that you are uncomfortable with. What we have also done is, so we've got the landowners still very committed to working with us. E.G. Carter, the contractor, is still committed to spending money and resources and time working up the proposal, albeit it's at the early stage again. But we've also got an interested housing association provider who is a rural specialist who is keen to come and work in Brent Knoll where possible. So we're starting to put a team together that possibly can deliver a rural scheme, which we hope would be something that the village and the parish would be happy with. So that's where Station Road is. So smaller scheme's going to come for you, and hopefully that'll be early in the new year, and we'll be able to come back to you about that. Just in terms of the other sites that possibly might be doing the round, we've assumed that we're not going to secure any affordable housing on the A38 site. I think that's a message that was very clear from members previously, and certainly in having had discussions with the potential developer on the site, I think they're very much focused on dealing with your highway solution as opposed to, and we're perfectly comfortable that's a local authority. We have revisited the potential availability of Musk Farm, because we've heard a few rumours that perhaps the owners might have changed their mind and they were perhaps prepared to release land. We had a message or a response to our inquiry from one of the landowners saying it most certainly isn't available, and they're going to wait for the new local plan to come out and they're going to take their chances with that. Now, that's their decision. So at the moment, Musk Farm is not available, contrary to any rumours that might be doing the rounds in the village. And we've had a written response to that effect. And we've not had any further approaches from any other landowners regarding any other possible parcels of land that may be worth looking at. So at the moment, just flicking over to the final page, we are still investigating Station Road with a view to coming back to you in January with an indicative layout, with a view to, subject to your approval, carrying out a secondary public consultation event to gauge local reaction to which will be a revised layout and a revised proposal. We wouldn't expect members to take an active role in that, other than to simply promote the event with your community. Esther and I can do all the organising, and it will be very much run along the same lines, which is, what do you think? The one thing that we probably won't be asking at that stage would be, is there a better site somewhere else, unlike the previous event? It will be very much more focused around Station Road is the only site we want to view on, and we'll be gauging local reactions to that. And we don't know what that will be. It might be good, bad or different, who knows? We're talking about possibly doing that we've indicated February, but it could be February, March. And subject to a positive set of feedback from the community event, subject to your approval, I think we'd be looking to have a serious conversation with you about the contractor stroke housing association putting in a planning application possibly in the summer of next year, subject to all these other caveats.
Do you wait for landowners to come to you, or do you go looking for?
Well, just to recall how we've gone about looking for land, we did a call for sites, which you're aware of.
Yes, I'm aware.
We reviewed the strategic housing land availability assessment, so that's where people have openly come forward to the local authority and said, my land is available, would you like to consider it? And we spoke to those people as well. I suppose from our point of view, it's really hard for us to gauge whether a person's land's available or not. So we are to some extent reliant on the landowner at this stage of the process, where they haven't made it available through the corporate site or the SLA, the land assessment approach, to come and make it known to us. So, but at some point, we're going to, you as a parish council, are going to have to give us either the nod or the shake of the head to say, we'll either go with this site or we're not going to go with this site.
There was a plan at one time, Sandersburg were going to develop their site and we were going to have a roundabout, but the field is still there empty
Sorry, where's that now?
Sanders.
on the A38, but it's on the other side of the A38.
Right. Well, we've certainly not been made aware of that.
We wouldn't have to worry about crossing the A38.
Absolutely. We've certainly not been made aware of that. I mean, obviously, if a landowner had made themselves known to us,
Yeah.
we would be saying something completely different to you tonight. We might be saying this site's available. What do you think, members? So, we're not actively saying to landowners, we're not actually going out to saying, well, who owns this? Let's go find.
No.
So, we're very much still looking at Station Road on the back of the previous conversations we've had.
Just a comment on that, the one other thing is anything that comes forward for this sort of affordable housing development has to be adjacent to the existing development boundary. So something like the land at Sanders wouldn't qualify because there is no development boundary up there.
Right.
Whereas it has to be something that's close around the line that is around the development at the moment.
Right.
Would you mind reminding me, why Master Farmer refused yet again?
They didn't say.
No.
We simply said we've been led to believe that your land may be available. I let it out bag. There's a night. I think we heard the rumour that somebody said to us that the land had reverted to a single ownership. That's not factually correct, as far as we're aware. We believe the land is still owned in multiple ownerships, and that in itself has been a problem because you need all three owners or four owners, or whoever it is, to all agree that they're going to dispose of it. The message we had back was, I'm relying on the advice I'm getting from my agent, and at the moment they're going to wait for the local plan.
Which will be when?
Another 5 years, or another 4 years by now.
Well, it's out at the moment. The draft is coming out for a recirculation from the 6-week consultation. That'll be in the new year. The new local plan will be formally adopted sort of next year, to 2018. By the time it's gone through inspection with the sort of government inspectors, but there'll be a very strong lean when the draft comes out. There'll be a pretty good steer at that point as to what's in and what's out. But people can still at that stage apply for their land to be changed and ask the inspector if he would like to include it. So it's probably 18 months away before there is a definitive local plan that is then re-adopted again.
Thank you.
Peter?
Of all the parishes within Sedgemoor, what's the percentage of parishes that have affordable housing?
Well, we've all got affordable housing of some description or another already, most of them.
Right.
What you mean is
Developments. Right.
we are, I can't give you the actual number, but we are working with a significant number of them, and we're making good progress along. I mean, a good example is Mark, Community Land Trust, secured a resolution of our planning commission yesterday.
Yeah.
We're working down the road at Lipsham, Western Zoyland. We've got a number of villages. We can give you an idea of where we've recently finished work and where
Well, what I'm saying, how far are we? Are we on average? Are we lacking behind? Or?
No, I mean, there's no such thing as lagging behind. I mean, parishes will be at different stages in the process.
Yeah.
So, we've got. I mean, where he's ever has district council, Council Filmer. Well, no, we're working with it. We've just started work again with East Huntsville, and if we get a project off the ground there, that will be the fourth project in the space of 6 years. But that's the enthusiasm they've got for it.
Yeah.
So nobody's lagging behind. It's when sometimes things go quite quickly. Sometimes it takes a long time, and so we are. There are a number of villages where we've got a heavy rural programme. Is in answer to your question. We've got a very heavy rural programme. As far as we're concerned, Brent Knoll is going along nicely. Now, we may never see a project come forward here, but you've made progress from where you started from, which was, do we have a problem? What are our options? At the moment is, there's a problem. Potentially there's a solution at Station Road. It may come to nothing, of course.
Yeah.
So there's no lagging behind or anything like that.
Again, on a similar vein, I think a lot of the rural areas are looking at doing these sort of schemes because the sort of more urban areas have had big developments. When those big developments happen, then obviously we get, as a district authority, a proportion of those are done as affordable units. But you're only getting those big developments in the urban areas, so the rural areas haven't been getting affordable housing for some time. Hence this whole way of trying to bring it forward, and there are certainly a good couple of dozen, at least I would have thought, of rural areas that are in the process or have.
Thank you for that, Malcolm. Did you want?
Yes, can I have some guidance, please? Have the days of compulsory purchase gone?
No. The appetite for it might have gone.
No, I wondered, as it was an undesirable site in the centre of the village, then...
I think the local authorities do still have compulsory purchase or powers. The appetite and the resources to do that may not match that ambition, if you know what I mean. So, I think if we could, I'm pretty sure there's a few sites in Bridgewater particularly that I could think of that would be prime candidates for it. So, to CPO a site takes an awful lot of work, an awful lot of resources, and quite frankly, is very contentious, both with the local community and politically. So, I don't think it's something that, as a local authority, we would be actively pursuing.
You don't consider it easily?
I don't think it's a realistic option at this stage.
No. Unless anybody else has got any other points. I have one point to make, and then perhaps we'll just say thank you. We are conscious that we will be having an annual meeting with the parish in April. Would that be an opportunity for you to come along to do your public presentation then, or rather than would you want to do it over an afternoon and evening?
What might work is we could do a drop-in session where people can come in and have a view in private. Because some people feel more comfortable doing that way, and then we could do a presentation at your parish meeting in the evening if that would help.
That is April, Duncan.
That'll be fine.
I think it's the 19th, I believe.
19th.
Well, I'll need to confirm with you. I think it's the 19th.
That time scale's fine with us. We suggested February, but
That'll be in the big hall.
that's fine. So we can do that. That time scale's fine. Who knows what will be on the table by then? You might have another site. Who knows? You might take a view on that site.
Yeah. So, and is there a need for you to go and have another meeting with us, say in January, February, or can we do it by post, or how do you feel?
It's entirely up to you. The one thing that we're going to be coming forward in the new year with is an indicative layout on Station Road.
Yeah.
And it will be an indicative layout. It's entirely up to you how you want to deal with that. You may want to say, we can send it to you by email or post and you can discuss it collectively, or we can come along and formally present it. Bluntly, we're not architects, so it's we'll just simply hear it is what you think, really. It's entirely up to you how you want to deal with it. I guess the issue from our point of view is if we're going to run a public event in April, followed by a presentation, we're going to want to know that with some degree of confidence that we're broadly in the right area in terms of the form and scale of development and, dare I say it, the right site. And that's going to put you guys on the spot a little bit. I appreciate that.
So really, January is probably going to be the timescale for you to provide the outline development, and probably by that time you will be looking for a response from us, one way or the other.
Well, certainly we're happy for it to go forward for further consultation.
Yes.
That's as much as we want from you.
Okay.
Nothing more than that.
So that gives an opportunity for members, I'm just thinking, then to not only digest this report that you've given us tonight,
Good.
I've got to do something over Christmas.
Absolutely.
And humbug. And then obviously we'll have the outline development as well in January.
We'll leave it at that, I think.
What's the date of our next meeting? I know it's going to change slightly.
Well, the January meeting will probably be, I suspect, subject to your approval, the 11th of January.
I suspect that's probably a little bit early.
Too soon. Then on to February.
Yeah, I'd imagine the 11th of January is a bit early. Really.
So can we
Probably
go
February.
first Wednesday in February,
Okay.
if that's all right.
Obviously, as and when we get our sight of it ourselves, the first thing we'll be doing is running it past our internal development group, which is an informal discussion with the planners in the first instance, find out what the warts and all reaction, their reaction to it is, and then we'll be filing it through to you guys to say this is what has come out of the mixer, this is what the planning department's initial reaction to it might look like. What do you think? With a view to saying, well, are we ready to go in April to your annual meeting? I think that timetable works a little bit because it gives everybody a bit of breathing space. And you know, as I say, we don't know what's going to come out if we do get approached. If Musk Farm suddenly changes its mind, who knows?
Well, once again, thank you for your
Thank you.
contributions and coming tonight.
If any member wants to speak to us, we're at the end of the phone or email, drop us a line. We're more than happy to answer queries.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll leave you in peace. Have a good Christmas, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Is he Liberal? Is he Liberal? So he brings the kids to school.
Which is actually responses and potential resolution for
Well, I mean, we have, as I was saying, we on the agenda under item 5, we have an opportunity if you have a need to make response and any resolutions on what we've heard tonight, or do we put it off until January and hopefully you might have got the outline site set up.
I think it would be advisable to digest what
That'd be my suggestion.
we've got until January.
Right, planning.
Oh, yes.
We have one.
We do have one.
Yeah, we're going to do it like we did last time.
Sue James,
Cynthia and Gary on the table.
Yes.
So everybody can have their say, and then you can sort of put your last penny worth in at the end.
Yeah. Okay.
Sweet, generous.
I did put it on the table. Does anyone want to look at this again? Again.
Yeah, to be
And
honest.
would you like to? You want to see this?
Yes, please.
Because I need that back before.
It is actually a Brent Knoll number, 0716 would be a Brent Knoll application, although it actually is marked. But, you know, I suspect Mark will probably be getting it as well as a consultation.
Is it actually within our parish?
It's in Knoll Road.
It's in Knoll Road, which is,
Really, it's just.
I think it's within our, just about. I think.
Well, it's not far from what's name.
It's near the motorway, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's in Brent Knoll.
But you know, Mark will probably be consulting me as well because I'm close to their down.
And we obviously have this Latin terminology that John very kindly sent an email around explaining what sui generis is.
I've got it written down, so no one else.
It was a long time since I did Latin, so I didn't bother to say thank you back in Latin.
Is as is.
It is, as is, yes, of its kind.
So, Malcolm, have you seen it?
Yeah.
Do you have any comments?
No.
Right, Brian? Bella?
No, none at all.
Andrew? I have no comments.
I have a comment.
No.
But,
I think as a parish, I would guide you, Cynthia.
sorry,
I'm guiding you, Cynthia.
what to say, no comments?
No, I'm guiding you, recognising time and tide, that the majority has said no comment.
Yes, I realise
And I
that.
think as a parish, we could put that forward as our response.
So no observations.
Right,
Unless you have anything that we
no, but if it's being filmed, no one knows what you're talking about.
Yes, we've all looked on the website.
Yes, I know you have, but we haven't said whose it is. Who sent the application, and that's what I'm saying. No, this is a matter to me in this connection.
Well,
Just to identify what it is.
Well, we've got it under item 716
Okay, right, fine.
on the agenda, and that's
Yes,
what we're
fine, I
reporting
have
against.
no observations either.
So
No.
that's fine. Okay, thank you. Anything on footpaths, Peter?
Hold on. Yes,
yes.
get Bob back in again.
Oh, Bob. I never saw him.
He's been for a long while,
He was like the churchyard.
I spoke with Owen the last meeting. He was going to contact Mr.
Proceed.
Chris East.
Yes.
He's got some gates.
He has got some more gates available if we require them.
And that's a double farm gate with a wicket gate in it.
As far as he says, as before, in other words, gates that you've previously used.
Yeah.
Gate in it.
And that
So,
would be supplied free of charge?
yes,
Right. So what I need from the council as to whether we proceed with that, and he sends it up here and then we get the contractor to fit it.
Can we have a proposal on that? And all those in favour? Thank you.
am I right in thinking, Pete, that they were delivered to your home?
Oh, right.
Am I right in thinking they were delivered to your home before?
Fine, yeah.
Okay.
You happy with that?
Sorry?
Happy with that they did it to you? And who's going to do to fit them?
Well, we can either ask Ian Durston, or we can ask, well, any number of contractors really.
Yeah.
Ian's done most of them, I think, a
Yeah,
lot of them anyway.
Yeah.
But if you want me to get, if we need to get other quotes from other people,
How much is it going to cost? Because we've now got the limit.
yeah, how much?
Yes.
I mean, how much did the other? I can't remember what the other ones cost actually when they to
Well,
fit
but
them.
they were, we had a big one, please, somewhere.
Can he invoice them on an individual basis?
Sorry?
Could he invoice them on an individual basis?
I don't really know. I don't know.
I'm sure it can.
All I
But
do is
that would
ask
solve
for
the
the
problem.
Yeah, well, he's only doing one anyway.
He's only doing one, so if it's only one,
Yeah.
it's not going to be over £300.
I shouldn't think so.
Right, okay.
Well, once the gate's been delivered to you, Peter, why don't we then contact Ian Durston
Yeah.
and just confirm what his
Okay.
quote will be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Highways, sorry. Anything on footpath?
Yes, please. Somebody mentioned to me about the footpath in Station Road by, I think there's a cul-de-sac, is there, of new houses, 4 newish houses, overhanging branches from the hedge
Well,
there.
yes, I've already mentioned.
Oh, you've already mentioned
No,
that.
no, it might be just somewhere different, but,
I don't, but all I know is
Yes.
if you turn left out of Brent Street and it's on the right,
yeah.
that footpath there. They
So
couldn't
are these private property? I mean, this is private.
Yes,
It's
Yeah.
private, so
Pavement
it's-
houses.
along the highway.
Right,
Yes.
okay.
yes.
And
It's
it's
quite bad.
encroaching on the pavement?
Yes.
well, it hangs
Yeah.
right over, so you've only got about
You've
that.
got to walk
much
on the
room.
road.
So are you asking me to write to the owners of those properties? Is that
I
what you're asking me to do?
Yes.
Do we know who the owners
There's
are?
private houses, there's a series of about 4 different ones. But we can find the
You've got one gate.
Yeah.
Is there one gate in and then?
That's it, there's 2
Well,
houses.
we could certainly send them a letter, certainly send them a letter asking them if they can attend to it, as long as we know who they are.
And there might be some before, but I'm not sure because I haven't been up
Okay.
to Station Road to
There's
look.
a tree preservation on the hedge.
Okay. There is one other thing I need to raise. There was some mention made last meeting, I think it was the meeting before as well, about the footpath near Whitecross Farm. And I was asked to
Yeah.
contact the owners
Yes.
of the hedge. Now, Jason has cleared the footway,
Yeah.
but he says it's very difficult because, of course, it's all overgrown. I've spoken to Mr. Hale, who has agreed that it will be done in January. So he said that he will do it in January as a matter of some urgency.
Yeah.
Well, good.
So we can't say fair enough here. So hopefully we just need to keep an eye on it, make sure he does do it.
Yeah.
Be done with-
Are we still on footpaths or have we moved to highways?
Footpaths,
Sorry, I've got a highway. So.
are you on?
There's another footpath one as well. There was a mention asked for a quotation for some work on the lower footpath in the Knoll behind St Michael's Church. We've had a quote from Ian Durston of £95 for that job.
For what it is, I would say that's quite reasonable.
John's obviously seen it, Ian Durston, Ian's
Well,
given
I
it a
just
quote.
I think it's quite reasonable.
So are you happy
I
to
propose that we
give that?
All in favour? Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else on footpaths?
Can I just say something? We've had new paths put in throughout Brent Knoll, and they're very splendid. But were they really needed? Well, the footpaths, paths opposite, say, for instance, the Methodist Church, all through the town.
Oh,
Really?
tarmac.
Tarmac paths,
Well, surely it wasn't a question of replacing the footpaths, it was a question,
Renewing
correct me if
them.
I'm wrong, of renewing the
Yeah.
curbstones. And if you renew the curbstones, you need to replace the footpath because you've disturbed it and it needs putting right. I think that's what the exercise was, not new footpaths, but new curbstones.
I just felt it was a necessary expense. It could have been spent somewhere else.
It's good,
I know it's nothing to do with
it was good practice to do, And it's out with our control, it's presumably comes under Sedgemoor Highways.
County.
County, yeah.
Thank you.
But to be honest, I mean, it wouldn't have taken more than one person to fall over and injure themselves badly to sue, to then start knocking the cost of what it would take to actually do the work. So.
Absolutely. Right, highways. Malcolm, can you do the main report?
I've not had any approach from anybody about anything, and I've not been aware of any problems.
Colin?
The development on Burton Row, where the builder is Marshes, and they've got a boarding up where they're constructing the new house. They've done some work over in the field which has reduced the width of the road directly outside, with the result that now two-way traffic cannot pass, and you must go through this yourself. I'd like to know, when are they going to reinstate the bank and the road so that it can accept traffic as was before they started the development, because they've got a sign there, haven't they, restricting traffic, give way, and the road is distinctly narrower, and it's all part of that development, and I would like to know when they're going to reinstate it.
I think there's a complication, and this is only hearsay, because I have been made aware of it and I have actually seen it, and obviously I've tried to find out. They have, as you know, had to connect their drainage off the property and both the surface water and the foul sewage under the road, so it's gone under Burton Road. Now, in doing that, they need to brick up either side of the road to stabilise the tunnel entrance and exits. However, in doing it, they've also found that the ream on the field adjacent needs cleaning out, and I think they were trying to clean that out before fully doing the brickwork. That's my understanding. And I believe that field is owned by John. Cider John.
Yes.
But it needs doing both sides. Both sides of the road, not necessarily the reed side. They've made a big gap on the house
They've
side
got
as
to
well.
put a brickwork round the tunnel entrances, and I guess that's what's delaying it. But I did actually mention to Owen about it. We were going to highways issue, so we need to find out.
I have actually heard the same thing. That's what John Harris is going to do. Did you say?
But because they also said to him, your ream that goes up the side of Wick Lane is also blocked.
Yeah.
He's going to get that done as well, and I wonder if they're going to do the whole flaming lot before they then, anyway, we'll see.
Last time was about the longevity of that particular.
I know it's causing issues because I know though there are signs you'll give way to oncoming traffic, there has been a lot of wing mirror damage.
Really?
Because people would not obey the signs, and there's been a few.
When they're driving 70 miles an hour, it's quite difficult.
Yes. John, did you want to?
Yeah, it's sport point. It's brought up by my next door neighbour today actually. It affects him and it affects me slightly. As you go out of my gate, on the opposite side of the road by the bungalow, there is a silver BMW which is up for sale and it has been left there now for well over a week. I didn't get the number, but I can do that and let Owen know, but the car has just been left there. It never moves.
I'm not sure the legality of that, I'm not an expert.
We can ask PC Wells to have a walk again at it.
Shall I send you the...
Yeah, send me the reg.
Reg, yes,
And
yes,
then
I'll do that.
Then I'll send an email to PC Wells
That's right.
and ask him if he can just have a look at it.
Check if it's had a song.
Check it out, make sure it's not stolen.
Vehicle.
For sale, isn't it? Hasn't it got a
Well,
sale?
yeah.
Well, the thing is, if it's tax, if the tax has been declared that the vehicle's not in use.
No, but it's just blocking up, and it's Cynthia will know this, it's that particular bit of road, none from there,
Yeah.
is always a problem, and there's basically, for whatever reason, an abandoned car there, and it's been there for a long time.
We'll follow that through.
Anything on highway, anything else on highways?
A couple of things I just wanted to mention. Curbstone outside 75 Brent Street, has that actually been dealt with, Cynthia? You've got a dodgy curbstone outside your...
No, it hasn't, and in fact,
Okay.
there was a workman from whoever, the Sedgemoor I suppose it was, looking at it all, and he said to me, it's not damaged enough. He said it's,
Not
he
the
stood on it and it
actual-
rocked up and down. He said, no, that, you won't get that done.
Ah,
I said, oh, right,
It's
okay.
dark, get a hammer.
Yeah, I know. I said, perhaps you could just tip it up a bit.
Just go shower, that's the answer.
So the answer is they have looked at it, but they're doing nothing
Yeah,
about
well, he
it.
was looking at everything, and I just happened to be there, and I said, oh, look, there's one here. Oh, it's not bad enough.
Right.
Just to say the road over the railway bridge and beyond towards Barrow is still pretty rough on that side, left-hand side, right out.
Scientific interest.
Pardon?
It'll be a site of scientific interest.
You reckon?
The grass is
But
growing.
it's still got the crack running down the middle of it too.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I've got here I've got a crumbling issue with the
Yeah.
camber. Is this the same one we're talking about? Is it
On
the same issue?
the left,
So I was
going
told
out
that had been
towards
done,
Barrow,
actually.
just over the railway bridge,
Okay.
before you get to the house.
Okay, because when I contacted them to follow up their reference number on that, they told me that it had been done. So I don't quite know what they've done.
Not a lot.
Cracked, I thought they were sealed the crack if nothing else.
They came out and they did the repair in Station Road,
Right.
where the road was going,
Yeah, yeah.
but not on the approach to the bridge.
Okay,
So it's the
so it's
bridge.
approach to the bridge.
That might be a different
It
reference.
might be a different number.
There's one about the hole in the road alongside the truck.
Right. Okay, nothing else on highways? Who did the village green inspection? Was that you? Was it you? No.
It was on November.
David's got to look. Any issues there? Nothing.
I don't think there is really. Grass all cut,
You did a nice job on that.
all the,
It's lovely.
all the edges are cut back. Oh, there's leaves, but that's time of year.